All right, whenever you're ready.
Hey everybody, my name is Jeremy. We have Jordan, Max, Caitlin, and Justin, and we're representing Airspace Experience Technologies, better known as ASX, and we're revolutionizing rescue. So with our electric VTOL aircrafts, we're transforming emergency response industry. VTOL stands for vertical takeoff and landing, and that's kind of our whole product. In an emergency situation, every second counts. 30 seconds spent by a victim on the ground after a car crash, for example, is 30 seconds if they're not being attended to by a medical professional. Especially in urban areas, densely populated cities, there's a lot of traffic and conventional means of emergency service transportation, like ambulances, police cars, can have trouble getting to the site of the crash in time. So exactly like I said, every second counts. This is where our ASX's product comes in. It's called the Sigma 6. It is an electric VTOL aircraft. You can fly directly to the scene. It cuts transport times and avoids delays. And as we'll go into later, they have a flexible payload system that allows them to carry different types of cargo depending on what mission they need to accomplish.
Yeah, so we believe that ASX and their VTOL technology have great potential for emergency response services. For one, they're experts in the technology and the lead producer of the technology. The Sigma 6 aircraft itself is revolutionary and like a next generation aircraft. The specific capabilities we want to highlight are its ability to travel at long distances, over 150 miles at fast speeds. The aircraft is also relatively quiet in comparison to other aircrafts we see today, like helicopters. And most importantly, the pods of the aircraft, as seen right there, can hold up to 2,000 pounds of cargo. And for emergency response situations, this is important, whether it's transporting people, support teams, or just holding the necessary medical supplies or whatever needed supplies will be needed. Onto the business model. ASX is going to focus specifically on producing emergency response vehicles. They'll sell directly to the emergency response services through government contracts, whether that's fire departments, natural disaster groups, or hospitals. And by implementing the Sigma 6 aircraft into emergency response services, this will result in faster response times to emergency scenes and increased access to hard to reach locations, which is especially important in urban emergency response situations. And onto the revenue stream. Again, they'll be selling directly to the emergency response services. Through our market evaluation and talks with the ASX team, we estimate that each aircraft can sell for $5 million. And there's a lot of channels for sale here. We can see that there are 52,000 fire stations and about 1,200 trauma centers in the US. So based on those estimations, even if ASX is only able to sell 200 units at $5 million per unit, that will result in revenue streams of $1 billion.
So as we're thinking about ASX, we want to think about the market that we're working in. And so this is a unique market that's a combination of aerospace and emergency response. So this is a market that's highly regulated, capital intensive, technology driven, and safety critical. So there are a lot of barriers to entry. This is also a market that is resegmented. So aerospace and emergency response have existed for quite some time now, but with the new technology that's available, it's created this new market. We are in the introductory stages of the market. We're not seeing any eVTOL manufacturers really producing any quantities, any large quantities, or really having any sales with emergency responders. And there's a large opportunity. We're talking about 30,000 plus fire departments, over 1,000 high-level trauma hospitals, and countless disaster relief organizations. And so when we're looking at the marketing strategy, it's important to note that right now ASX is in the process of building prototypes. So they're pre-sales and they have very limited visibility with potential customers. So as we were working with ASX, we wanted to envision what they could be in the future. So we're looking to define their market focus. Right now, they don't have a defined application for the product, but as you can tell, we're quite interested in the emergency response in particular. They don't have a defined pricing strategy, and so they will have a defined pricing strategy, and they'll be directly reaching out to customers like the fire departments. But the bottom line is that by focusing on this unique and untapped market, which is the emergency response market, I think ASX will be positioning themselves in the best possible place to deal with any possible market forces.
ASX was founded by John Riminelli and is run by a small but talented team of engineers, scientists, and innovators. Mr. Riminelli's experience in electronics and aerospace entrepreneurship, combined with being an instrument-rated seaplane pilot with over 1,000 hours, allowed him to start several businesses. So Nextronics was founded in 2000, then about 11 years later, Detroit Aircraft Corporation was started. His most recent startup, ASX, was founded about 6 years ago. The team he started at ASX became united under the vision of reinventing air and ground mobility. So to prepare for making our business model improvements, we interviewed Mr. Riminelli himself, as well as a few firefighters, EMT, and VTOL operator in the Marines. Since businesses thrive or fail depending on customer discovery, we really valued their opinions. Coming out of these interviews, we learned that there is significant interest and potential for eVTOL technology, and the use of drones in emergency situations has proven to be useful in some situations. However, further testing and development of eVTOL technology is needed to ensure its successful implementation. Therefore, we suggest that ASX should invest more time to reach out to first responders to see what capabilities they might need.
So as we have mentioned, ASX is truly one of the most unique businesses that I think has been discussed in this class today. They are in the prototype phase, so they have this amazing product, but they really do not have anyone right now to sell it to. So how do we change that? We want them to hone in on a market. We want them to focus on emergency response because they have this great product and we want it to be put to good use. We think that there is a real possibility for change, for for people's lives to truly be saved through this vehicle. So by honing in on emergency response, they can really streamline their business. And through our customer discovery, we interviewed multiple EMTs, multiple people in the Army, and we were really able to see that this is an imperative resource that they can really use on a real-life scale. By finding a fixed cost, we can better market this product to different branches of the military as well as other emergency response teams and allow for companies to really see the full potential of ASX. Because right now, all you see is a drone, all you see is a product, and it is truly an amazing one for those that got to see it, but we don't know what to do with it yet. So what's next for ASX? What's the future hold? And as we mentioned, it is an emergency response. So it's diving into deeper relations with the fire department, with the police department, with Homeland Security. And John Riminelli, the CEO, has mentioned that they do have several outstanding contracts with the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy for their product. However, they don't know exactly what the Army, Navy, and Air Force want to do with this product. And that is a very general sense when we're thinking about military applications of a drone that can hold 2,000 pounds and can travel unbelievable speeds undetected. It's very, very vague in that regard. So really honing in on the way in which they can use this product for good, use this product to create change is imperative. And they need to embrace innovative and creative solutions. This is a futuristic product, and they need to be focusing on the future, keeping up with changes in technology, keeping up with the latest innovations to help improve their business model every step of the way to make sure that they don't stay in the past while everyone else is moving forward. So pictured here is Mr. John Riminelli with the unbelievable ASX drone. Just for scale, this drone is much bigger than him. It is not to scale. The capabilities of the drone are truly unbelievable, and as ASX develops into the future, we want them to hone in on the emergency response so this product can be put to good use. We want them to focus on marketing their product, making real relationships, and understanding what this product is going to go to. We've been very fortunate enough to meet with Mr. Riminelli and his team and learn what they are trying to do. They operate out of a small airfield in Detroit, and they have one product right now and they need more funding. So as they're able to get more funding, they can further the capabilities of this one product because, as John put it so politely, when you have a toy that costs millions and millions of dollars, you're going to be very careful with it. You're not going to be risking it breaking, damaged, or anything like that. So it's imperative that they gain resources, gain investors, so they can further the application and move forward into the future. So I just want to thank everyone for listening, thank our panelists, Mr. Tarver, and the entire class. Thank you.
So I have a question, two questions. How does this handle uneven terrain?
Yeah, so I mean, that's an issue with any, obviously, vertical takeoff and landing helicopters similarly. But what we'll find is a lot of accidents or incidents occur near roadways or open fields, things like that. So typically, you're going to be able to land at least close enough to the scene of the accident. Think if it's on a freeway, you have an even freeway that cars are able to drive on. So you would be able to land on things like that. Residential streets, similarly. And then if it's really a rural, remote community, fields would probably be a good place to land.
Okay. And one additional thought for you is, has he considered memberships? So for example, there are lots of fires in California at one particular time of the year normally, and there are tornadoes in other areas of the country at other particular times. Maybe I don't want to have one year round, but I'd be willing to lease it for a couple of months out of the year when I know things are particularly bad for me. So just throwing that out there for you too.
One thing I you know, when you offer the solution, you were talking about there's the sale and the service. Where does it charge? What does the ecosystem look like for this to be managed? How does maintenance come into play? But I'll just kind of put that to the side for the time being and just focus on the police department. When you look at first responders, they're struggling with retention. They're struggling. They've got a lot of struggles, and so when you talk about their needs, find a way to tie it to this will help. I don't know. By utilizing this, you can retain, train, grow. Like find a way to tie it so that we can enable them to grow, because it's a big expense. For $5 million, they can hire a number of folks, more fire trucks, etc. You have to find a business proposition where it can help them address those underlying needs. So just a thought.
I was thinking like, hey, who wants to play with our super fancy drone? If so, come work for the fire department.
I don't know that that's going to be the pitch to sell the unit, but I mean, if that's the target market, though, they're going to have to find some way to get them to spend $5 million in tax money, and that's a tough sell.
Question, comment. Sorry, and I may have been distracted. Does it have a pilot, or is it a drone?
So no, it's remotely controlled. When we were able to travel and actually go see it. So
Great. The last flight I was on, I decided I'd watch a movie which I shouldn't have watched. It was called Ambulance. Anybody seen Ambulance?
Yes, sir.
It's the most wholesome thing I've ever seen. Awful. But I thought of it. When the ambulance is getting used, there's always staff dealing with the casualty in the ambulance. Can you do that?
So with the payload system, it is possible for there to be someone inside of there.
There is.
In addition, it's more of almost for getting the resources to the scene and not the people to the scene in a way. It provides the resources to the distress system and not the individual.
Oh, I see. So, okay, good. That changes my view.
Thank you. I can also add on to that. So we touched on it a little bit, but the actual pod below the propeller and the wing, it removes. So there's different types of pods that can attach for different purposes. So that one right there looks like the cargo pod. So that one is able to hold up to 2,000 pounds of cargo. But there's also one that it was in like the concept picture of the emergency one, but it was more of a streamlined look, and that one has actual passenger seats that look more like a car.
Okay.
So
it's interchangeable.
Yeah, it's interchangeable, and I imagine that emergency service first responders can pack into there if they need, or they can pack in cargo like Jordan said.
Just one random thought that occurred to me was, I remember when Amazon was talking about leveraging Rivian vehicles for deliveries, going out and then having drones residing in the vehicle, taking products out and delivering them on a short flight basis. I mean, is there some, if it holds 2,000 pounds, you could theoretically take that model and put a bunch of drones in there that brings them the long distance, and then from there spread out and deliver stuff, right? Like there's possibilities there that I think. So I'm just thinking, do you want to limit yourself to a target market that may struggle to pony up $5 million versus find delivery space? They have money. They're like other avenues that I think may be worth exploring. Just throwing it out.
Possibilities are really endless with this product, and it's in such a beginning stage that
Yeah.
I know they're going to do great things.
Except now the time is up.
She's back again.
Good job.
Thank you guys.